Hi, I'm Shanna Allman, and I play Mary Bennet.
My name's Calder Shilling, and I play Arthur de Burgh.
And you're watching Eclectic Arts.
All right, so we're here at the Taproot Theater in December, and typical Seattle rainy December, but being born and raised here, most of us are used to it. And we're here with two of the lead cast members of Miss Bennet, Christmas at Pemberley. I'll make sure I get that title correct. And I know you just had a matinee performance today, so how did that performance go?
Good. I always think of matinees as once you get done with this, you get to have dinner. It's always my motivation. I feel like I'm earning my food. So it went really well, though.
Yeah, no, it was a great house this morning.
The matinees have all been really great.
Yes. Yeah.
Sometimes matinees can feel a little bit lower energy or just kind of less in sync, or like the audience is maybe a little sleepy, or we're a little sleepy.
We're a little sleepy, yeah.
But the matinees here it's been such an awesome energy. Everybody's been just eager and excited and energetic, including the cast.
Yeah, well, and it helps. It's such a fun show that very, I think, engaging for the audience, and so we get to maybe push past some of that initial sleepiness pretty quickly as the action of the play begins.
Yeah.
Okay, and that kind of brings me to a point that I'm still learning more things about actors and theater and things of that nature, that since the show started right after Thanksgiving, or actually right before Thanksgiving, I think you guys had a run-through or a preview or something. Mm-hmm. Have you been changing or kind of delving into your characters a little bit more, which tends to happen as shows keep running?
Yeah. You learn things
that's
with the audience.
Yeah, that's the beauty essentially of live theater over film, for example, is that every performance is going to be a little bit different, and that depends a lot on audience reactions, but also like moods that we're in as performers. You know, I'm not going to try and lock myself into one particular rote portrayal of a character. You know, I want to be able to feel things in the moment and shift it a little bit within the framework that we create as a company with our director and everything like that. But yeah, it's fun. It's really fun to be able to see what's funny tonight. How's the audience feeling? Oh, this line used to get a laugh. It didn't get it tonight. But this line that people don't usually find funny got a great laugh today. Mm-hmm. So that's always fun to discover.
Or you find something that you didn't realize the humor in it or the joke of it, or something will kind of land in a way during a performance, and you're like, oh, okay. Like it just kind of clicks into place in a way. And not that it was bad before, but it just kind of...
It's deeper, richer.
Yeah.
Every time.
Okay, and for people that have not seen the production yet, and all two of them, what can you say about the show so that we'll kind of tell them about the plot and what get them here to the Taproot?
There's a lot of zombies and pyrotechnics. It's based on Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice characters from that novel, and it's a bit like fan fiction of that style and of that story. And it centers around Mary Bennet, who is the middle sister of the 5 Bennet sisters, and in the novel she is kind of forgettable and written as not very socially adept and bookish, and I mean, in the novel, Lizzie is charming and clever, and Jane is beautiful, and it's kind of like you're seeing how society prizes those attributes. And the characteristics of Mary's character are just not things, being intelligent or having a curiosity, are things that were not really valued for women during that time. So it's really cool to see this play, how it addresses that and allows space for that and recognition of qualities that maybe have gone undervalued.
Yeah, the story of our play picks up about 2 years after the end of the events of Pride and Prejudice, and it's a sort of imagining of this first reunion after the end of the book, where all the sisters and their whole family get back together for Christmas. And the character that I play is an invented character by the playwrights to sort of be the partner or foil to Mary's character, sort of set up as another person who has similar qualities and likes and dislikes, and Oxford student, very intellectual and a little bit socially inept, and it's sort of fun to see them land together in this crazy house with these energetic family, and sort of how they sort of fit into that world.
Yeah, for sure. I'm kind of grinning now just since I've already seen the production. I can start seeing images in my head of things that happened during the course of the 2 hours that are absolutely hilarious. And speaking of the characters, is there anything that you kind of relate to in the character that each of you portray, or that I'm nothing like that character at all?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I think we all, it's a very human thing to feel a little bit maybe less suave than we wish that we were, or less graceful or charming. So yeah, certainly I empathize with the character who kind of puts his foot in his mouth a lot. That's a common feeling.
Yeah, I was joking actually the other day with the cast, because I realized that the background picture for my phone is actually of a library, and Mary loves libraries, and so sometimes I'll say things and then it'll be like, am I Mary in real life? Like, what's happening? Like, really similar to this character. What's going on? So yeah, I mean, certainly it doesn't feel like it's I really had to just stretch my imagination to really what is driving this character. I think, and also, I mean, just that feeling of feeling out of place, feeling like you are hungry and striving for something, and uncomfortable with the circumstances that you're in, and how do you deal with that, and coming up against fear of addressing that, and how do you developing the courage to really accept who you are, and to say, yeah, I'm this and this and this and this, and those things are great, and those things are okay, and not trying to be something that you're not, or feeling that you're lesser than because your qualities are different from what other people's are.
Yeah, I think another great gift that we have is Jane Austen writes this incredibly rich and dynamic world in all of her books. And so if you're familiar with the novel, as an actor, it's such an incredible gift to have that backstory already there. So you feel very at home in the world and in the parts because they're familiar to you in some way. I mean, even my character that doesn't exist in the novel, it's very easy to fit into the world because it's so fully realized in the book. And so I can read that novel and go, oh yeah, this is kind of how people interact, this is how they feel, this is the style of the time, and it's very easy to translate this new character into that world because they just, very fully realized and fleshed out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And kind of changing gears, if you could both individually speak about your backgrounds and your trainings and the different things that eventually brought you here.
Sure. Well, my very first performance was as the fairy godmother in Cinderella when I was in 3rd grade, English class. And I think my teacher didn't want to teach, actually. To be quite honest, I think she was kind of bored in our curriculum or something. And so we randomly put on this play, and nobody wanted to play the fairy godmother. Everybody wanted to play Cinderella. And so I was like, oh, I'll play it. So I got my first role because I was the only one who was willing to play the part. And that was great. And I didn't think anything of it. I had a really great time, but I didn't really start into theater until I was in high school. I'd seen 4 years before I started high school, I went to a production of Taming of the Shrew that my brother was in. He was a freshman in high school and was playing a servant role. So we went to go see that, and I had never seen Shakespeare, and I had really not seen, I think, live theater, really. And I was sitting there, 10 or 11 years old, and felt such a sense of familiarity with it that was indescribable and inexplicable, that I realized that I was hovering out of my seat, that I was like starting to move towards the stage, which is wild and weird. And me, even at that moment, was like, what is happening? And I looked around to see if it was happening to everybody else. Like, is this what it is to go see a play? You just hover out of your seat? You're like wanting to rush the stage? No, they weren't. Everybody else was just sitting, watching the play. And so it was this really weird experience that I totally could not articulate as a 10, 11-year-old. And I didn't tell anybody about, because I just thought it was like, oh, that's strange. I felt suddenly possessed. But then, it kind of just grew, and I just kind of was like this little, tucked it away. And then 4 years later, when I went to high school, I took my first theater class, and that's how this happened.
Okay.
I have a weirdly similar sort of origin story, if you will.
You played the fairy godmother?
I did not play the fairy godmother, but it
been
was third grade when I sort of did my first play, and it was also in school. My elementary school class. I'm also from Seattle, born and raised, since I went to AE2 Decatur, and part of their alternative education program there, they do sort of overarching themes for the year as part of your overall study, and our theme that year was weather cycles, so we're learning lots about the science of weather. So in the spring, we put on The Tempest, which was sort of a little bit of a leap, but hey, it's about a storm. So, that was my first ever real play. I played Ariel in The Tempest, and I had a phenomenal time doing that. I got totally hooked on Shakespeare, absolutely. As a third grader, I loved the language, and I think the biggest part for me about it was that I hadn't been told that it was hard before. I feel like in schools, often you don't encounter Shakespeare until a little bit later, and at that point, everybody's kind of already warned you about how difficult and dense the language is, and how it's such a struggle and a challenge, and nobody had ever told me that, so it wasn't hard. I wasn't afraid of it, and so I just dived right in, and it was fantastic, and I've loved Shakespeare ever since. It's primarily what I do as an actor, is classical and primarily Shakespeare. But shortly after that experience in third grade, I came here to Taproot, and I did a couple of their educational programs. But the first one, I think in 1998 or 1999, I was in a summer camp production of Your Good Man Charlie Brown on this very stage.
I like to think that your teacher was also bored. We're here today because we had some teachers who
didn't want to teach.
Who were just over it.
No,
they were just over it. We're doing a play.
How does that feel for you, like 20 years later, being here doing this production when you had done it when you were younger?
It's really fun. It's a nice sense of homecoming. So this is my second show here at Taproot as a professional adult theatrical practitioner. But I grew up in Maple Leaf, not far from here, and grew up coming here to see shows, and so it was always fun to kind of come back into this space, and then as a professional to be able to work here was a really great gift. And in a sense, it's kind of actually running in the family. My sister's actually the production associate and master electrician here at Taproot, so it's actually really great to be able to come back and get to work in the same building as my sister. It's really fun.
Awesome. And Shanna, are you from here as well? Or?
I'm not. I'm from Texas.
Okay. And then how long have you been here in Seattle?
2005, end of 2005, so 13 years. Wow, 13 years. Yeah, there it is.
Wow, okay. And to kind of wrap this up, is there anything that you guys can promote that you have either coming up, either a website, social media, another performance somewhere, any shout-outs you want to do?
You want to go first? Fancy man?
Sure. As soon as this contract is over, I am getting on a plane and flying back to Virginia, so if anybody wants to come to Virginia, a small town in the middle of the Shenandoah Valley called Stanton, Virginia. It's the home of the American Shakespeare Center, and I will be there from January until mid-April doing 5 plays in rep.
Wow, okay, awesome.
And I am a company member at Unexpected Productions, which is performs at the Market Theater down by Pike Place Market, by the Gum Wall. And so when I am not performing here, I am performing there at their genre shows and theater sports and happy hours. So come on down.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time today, and I'm looking forward to seeing the show again and again.
Thank you.
Thank you.